I'd like to introduce two people to this session. So we have got Stuart Miller and Gisela Delgado, who are from the IgAN Nephropathy Foundation in the US. And Stuart is the Director of Strategic Planning and Government Affairs, and Gisela is the Director for Marketing in the IgAN Foundation in the US. And we're going to start their session with a video that Stuart has sent us.
You know, if I get a little emotional, I guess. It's been, we're very, very lucky. It's a little scary. I mean, when someone says to you, listen, you have this disease that you've never heard of before, and you really, there's no known treatment for it.
It's overwhelming to an individual to know that you have a chronic disease and that it's going to take over one of your organs.
What I always tell people is I have an autoimmune disease that attacks my kidneys. Since it is a disease that doesn't show on the outside of you, people are first to assume you're doing this for attention. You don't actually have this. This is fake.
So when I was first diagnosed, me and my mom were just kind of doing some research, and I went on Facebook and just kind of searched for it. I just joined it, and honestly, just like really meaningful to be able to meet people going through it, and like, because I feel like I have some sort of connection to them, and like they understand and I understand.
I didn't know what IgA was before I was diagnosed, and many people still don't know what it is when you tell them that you have it. So it's really nice just to be around people who understand it a little bit more and understand how it affects you and what can happen. So
I think it's important to see people that have IgAN know that you can live a happy life. You can be productive. It's a struggle in the beginning and it's overwhelming in the beginning, but if you can live a good life.
You know, we're all in the same boat and we're all fighting for the same mission.
The IgA Foundation website actually has links to incredible resources. Yeah, arm yourself with knowledge, because that's going to be your greatest empowerment with your disease process.
Okay, over to you guys now.
Great, thank you, Karen and John, for inviting us. We're happy to be able to speak with the group. My name is Stuart Miller. I am an IgA nephropathy patient. I was diagnosed in 2007 with IgA. Luckily for me, I was able to get a preemptive transplant in July of 2018. I did have quite a bit of trials and tribulations in between the time of my diagnosis and transplant. And for me personally, it was very difficult mentally as well as physically. Luckily, a dose of steroids helped me extend the amount of time I could take between my diagnosis and going into end-stage renal disease. And I was lucky to find a transplant through what they call a peer exchange program. My wife donated her kidney to a patient, and in return, I received a kidney from another patient in California. And I'm very lucky to be able to be here and tell my story. Gisela? Oh, John, can you unmute Gisela?
Unmute Gisela.
That's a fun game. Hi, my name is Gisela Delgado. I too am a patient with IgA nephropathy. I was diagnosed when I was 14, and I was fortunate that I was diagnosed so young. And what led to my diagnosis was that I did have that Coca-Cola urine, and it took about 6 months of different sorts of testing to figure out what was going on. I was a freshman in high school, so I remember it very vividly, really awkward teenage moments and having to constantly leave to go to the doctor. And then also, I missed a good chunk of my first year of high school due to this disease and trying to get diagnosed properly. Ultimately, I did get my biopsy, and that confirmed my diagnosis of IgA nephropathy. At that time, there really wasn't anything. This is 1994, 95. So there was nothing really to help treat it. And I just kind of like saw a doctor regularly. I was on the pediatric nephrologist, was given no drugs when what I was told was probably in about 20 to 25 years, it would lead to kidney failure. And that's literally what happened, more or less. And I too was lucky to be able to receive a preemptive transplant. I would say that thanks to social media, I do think that there's a way to find out more about IgA nephropathy now. I found the good use of social media, I would say. And I am now a little over 3 years post-transplant. But, with IgA, there is, it can't come back. And so I think that it's really important to keep talking about it and learning about it. And that's why I joined the foundation. And fun fact, that video that you saw that was about 3 years ago, right, Stuart? That was the first time I met Stuart. And we were both there. And I think that was the first time we were around other IgA nephropathy patients. And there's definitely like a power there. So I'm glad I'm not seeing a lot of faces here. And I know that it's tough virtually, but you are not alone. So there might be only 25 patients on this call or so, but trust me, there's a lot of us in this world.
Yeah, that's been the downside of the social of having to do it online. It was a choice that the patients wanted because of the risk of COVID. But before that, we used to meet up in different cities in the UK, and a lot of people found a lot of power being able to meet an IgA nephropathy patient for the first time, and that was really useful for us. So it'd be really helpful for us to learn about what the IgA Nephropathy Foundation does. And I'm aware that, Gisela, you said you went online and found some useful information, but there's a whole load of not useful information out there as well. So it's like finding out the good information.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I never found any information on the IgA Nephropathy Foundation, and I am going to do a screen share. We have a couple of slides to share, if that's okay.
Yeah, great.
I think as we go through this, I would say that up until I think our time with the foundation the past 3 or 4 years, helping that SEO search, like when you Google, you don't get to like IgA nephropathy, you need to eat parsley. There's a lot of bad, weird, crazy stuff. And I consider myself technically savvy. It took a really long time to find good information. So I think we've been doing some great work. And I think as many patients as we can get involved globally to help spread the word, it's going to continue to help. Start this up here. So you already know us. So I'll skip over to our next slide. Stuart, you want to take this?
Yeah, sure. So the foundation was created by Bonnie and Ed Schneider about 18 years ago. Their son, Eddie, was diagnosed with IgA nephropathy when he was 16. And if you haven't met Bonnie or you have, you know that she's a very passionate person. And she felt really bad that her son had this disease that she knew nothing about and really couldn't find any information about. And so Bonnie and Ed decided to start the foundation really to create a place where people could meet other people who had IgA nephropathy, who knew about it, and create a family. Over the last 18 years, the foundation has raised almost a little over $1 million. 100% of that money goes to research. The foundation is run by patients and for patients. Everybody who works at the foundation is a volunteer. And we do it, as Gisela said, because we feel compelled to share our story. Hopefully other people can benefit from hearing our story and learning and having a place to go where they know they're not alone.
As Stuart said, one of the most important things I think to call out is compared to some other kidney organizations, we are strictly focused on IgA nephropathy, and we are the only dedicated patient advocacy organization for IgA nephropathy patients, and not only their patients, but their caregivers, families. In our Facebook groups, in email, we're constantly being, anyone can reach out. We will try to help anyone as much as possible, not necessarily with medical advice, but we do have a list of doctors that specialize in IgA nephropathy. We'll try to connect you locally. I think if you're doing these local patient meetups, that's great, because I know for me, in my diagnosis of 25 years, the best thing that ever happened to me was meeting another IgA nephropathy patient. And we do firmly believe, and we say this a lot, that we believe no one should face IgA nephropathy alone.
So as Gisela mentioned, in August of 2019, there was a meeting called the ELFPD, which stands for Externally Led Patient-Focused Drug Development. It was a combination of 174 IgA nephropathy patients. The National Kidney Foundation was there. Several pharmaceutical companies were there. And in the US, an organization called the Federal and Drug Association Administration was there, all really to learn and listen to IgA nephropathy patients talk about what it was like to live with the disease. Both the government and the drug companies would like to know more information from the patient journey and understand what it's like to live with IgA. And for the foundation, it was a key turning point. It was a chance, the first time I ever met anybody with IgA nephropathy in 10 years. And we've really felt a sense of community and an opportunity to build a community. Bonnie has just done an incredible job of keeping the foundation going over these years. And really, it was at the ELFPD that we were able to meet a core group of us were able to meet and really establish a team that could help Bonnie grow the foundation and really take advantage of some of the resources that we have.
Yes, and this report is available. There was a report done for the Voice of the Patient. It is available on our website for free to view. And what I would say out of that, there came this sort of, wow, all these things that I think get dismissed as symptoms sometimes by doctors became very valid in that room as a bunch of patients were talking about anxiety, brain fog, and some of the more non-physical symptoms that are sometimes overlooked as not related to IgA, but they're valid. And I think that validation that came out of the room, we then decided we need to do this again. And thus it's called Spark for that reason, because it generated a spark in us that we need to gather patients at least once a year. And due to COVID, our first Spark was supposed to be in 2020. It was going to be in Nashville, and we moved it to virtual. Then 2021, we tried it again. And what we did was we invested in a virtual platform, and we had a really good turnout. We had 600 attendees globally. We had really high engagement. People really loved it. I think the only negative feedback was like, it's a lot of information for a day, which it is. But you know, it's a lot of work to put on a conference. And this year, I'm super excited. We are going to have it in person in Nashville, Tennessee. And we have about 175 people or so, patients, families, some sponsors registered, and we're really excited. We are actually going to be covering that mental wellness piece. And I think that's really important for patients to know like how their feeling is valid during this journey, not just what's on their lab results.
And registration is still open. I know Dr. Barrett's going to join us, and Alistair going to join us as well. If any of you are interested in joining us, we do have some patient aid available for people for travel expenses. So if you're interested in coming to Spark, you can send an email to info@IgAN.org, and we'll be happy to help you out. So let's talk about some of the things that we were able to accomplish in 2021. There you can see it. We have a core group of 5 of us that are on the leadership team: Gisela, myself, Bonnie, of course, Elena Riddick, who helps out with programming, and then Amanda Skeens, who is our director of patient engagement, and she runs our monthly patient support group. So just a couple of milestones that we accomplished in 2021. We created a 5-year strategic plan to help really take the foundation to the next level. For years and years, Bonnie was pretty much operating on her own. So the plan was developed to help us have that plan so we could map out where we wanted to be in the next 5 years. We established this core group of leadership team, which has helped Bonnie quite a bit. We've increased our social media outreach by almost 40%. Gisela has done a really good job of increasing engagement on our Facebook page, on our Twitter account, and on our Instagram account. And again, those are places where people go to meet other IgA nephropathy patients and learn about what it's like to live with IgA. We recently published a 32-page guide, patient guide, which is on our website. It's downloadable. And it's a great tool for people in all stages of IgA nephropathy, from the people who've just been recently diagnosed to people like myself and Gisela that have been living with the disease for a long time. It has a great amount of information about living with IgA, diet, lifestyle, questions to ask your physician. It's just a great tool, and it's free, and you can download it on our website. We really help promote our pharmaceutical partners on their ongoing clinical trials. Right now, we have 12 clinical trials in the US for IgA nephropathy, and we help those pharmaceutical partners let our patients know about those trials and help them recruit. So hopefully, as a result of those trials, we can help find a cure for IgA. There is one drug in the US that's been released for IgA. It's called Tarpeo. I think it's under UK or European advisement right now for final approval. But that drug was developed by Calliditas with our partnership. And I'm sure they would tell you that without our clinical trial assistance, they would not have been able to get that drug approved. We've helped promote the IgA Nephropathy Foundation to the Asian American community. We developed a risk quiz that's still on our website. We have targeted the Asian American community because 30% of the IgA nephropathy population is from the Asian American community. So we're just trying to help educate them about IgA, and it's been a focus of the foundation to really get them engaged with the foundation. We created Spark, which is our first annual patient conference that Gisela mentioned. In 2021, we used a platform that was a little bit more interactive for our patients and a little less like Zoom. So it really helped us grow the attendance. And last but not least, we created a medical and scientific advisory board. And thanks again to Dr. Barrett for being on that board. He's the chairman of our board. And it's a group of 8 nephrologists and renal dietitians in the US who are really, each one of them fits a specific need for us in the IgA nephropathy community.
Really huge moment for us in 2022. So I think, so we normally meet. I think this is helpful context. So every Saturday we meet. So if we weren't on this call, Stuart and I would be in an IgA nephropathy meeting, because that's what we do on Saturdays, because we're all volunteers and we have other jobs. So we were talking a while ago about, with all these different moments for kidney disease. You have your Living Donor Month, you have Kidney Health Month, you have all these different things. And it's like, we need a day. And thus was born the IgA Nephropathy Day, IgAN Aware. And this was the first time we ever did anything like this year. And we definitely had a ton of support. Thank you, Dr. Barrett. Also, different pharmaceutical sponsors. But the whole premise of this campaign was just to get the healthcare providers involved, so that more patients could see and be aware that, oh yeah, again, I'm not alone. But then we also had a huge social media presence where patients were sharing their stories and posting why they are an IgAN warrior. And this page is still up. There's some helpful resources there. But really, really proud of this sort of campaign that we will do annually. And the day, May 14th, just for why I chose that day, that was the day of the IgAN Foundation under its former name. I believe it was Strides Against IgAN. That was the LLC incorporated. So it needed to have some sort of significance, but really great engagement. We were able to really help spread a ton of awareness, and the National Kidney Foundation was a huge supporter and really helped get the word out there. And we made a toolkit. And again, that risk quiz, if you go to IgAN.org/IgAN Day, you'll be able to also share that risk quiz if you want to share it with like family and friends and just take a look at it.
So again, what we talked about, it's so important to be able to speak to other people who have the disease and understand what it's like to live with it. And as Dr. Barrett mentioned earlier, everybody takes medications, but everybody reacts a little differently to each one of the medications. So it's just so nice to have a place to go where you can interact with other people. And we're really proud of what we've been able to accomplish in a couple of years to really grow our social media accounts. Obviously, our website is a great resource for anything about IgA nephropathy and the guides we talked about earlier. Our Facebook page, there are 2 Facebook pages. One is sponsored by the foundation, and we have over 6,000 people on that page. And then there's another page for Facebook clinical trials that we help administer, and that group has over 14,000 followers. Gisela and her team have done a great job on Instagram. We have a YouTube channel that's available to see some of our past topics from Spark and some other videos we've created. And then, of course, Twitter, and we are on LinkedIn as well. All again, and last but not least, not on here really, is the patient support group that we conduct once a month on the first Monday of every month, and that's done via Zoom.
Resources, it's all about the community, and we just want to reinforce this. This is available for free. It's really important for us to give back to patients and to make it easy for patients to get trusted information. We do not post or publish things that are not like backed in science. And so that was one of the main things we aligned on as a team, is like, we want to become the trusted source for all things related to IgA nephropathy. And if we make a mistake, if we posted something that somebody feels uncomfortable with and they challenge it on us, we send it to the board. We'll send it, can you just verify? Because it's really important in this world of like, anyone can supply resources, information. We want you to feel good about what we're telling you. And many times we'll say, consult with your medical team, but we're trying to gather everything we know through our private research that we do, through working with other organizations, so to make it easier for you. No one should have to go check 30 different websites to figure out what they should do. Just, I promise you, come to our website. If you're feeling a little lost, reach out to one of us, info@IgAN.org. It just goes to a real person. We don't have any auto bot responses. So I encourage anyone on this call, if you're looking for a resource, if you're curious about something that you see, just let us know. But the patient meetups have been great. And we're hoping after Spark to be able to fully launch our caregiver care partner meetups also, so that people who care and love someone with IgA nephropathy also don't feel alone and can share some of their feelings and success stories.
And then Gisela, we just added recently to the website, and these are downloadable forms, 2 new documents. One's tracking your treatment worksheet, and that's a tool that you can use to help as you visit your nephrologist. And the other one is called Navigating Your Treatment Decisions. And again, it's a worksheet you can download. So as you meet with your nephrologist or your primary healthcare physician, you have something you can use to track the options that you have and what's presented to you to help to support your IgA nephropathy.
Yeah. Stuart and I are both post-transplant, and going through that transplant process, you get a lot of information, and there's all these like guidelines and milestones. And even though it's overwhelming, it's nice to have a guide to go back to. So that's what we're trying to continue to do for IgA nephropathy. So like, we have a huge guide, but we'll just keep creating these one-sheeters to help patients along the way. And it's just like, at least you have a map. Everybody's journey might be a little bit different, but you have some guidelines.
So the future is bright for us. We have a long way to go, but we've made great strides in the last 2 or 3 years. And we're really excited about some of our upcoming programs that we have that we're working on. First and foremost is our ambassador program, which we're going to launch at Spark in Nashville. And we're hoping to create a group of people who live across the US that can support people locally. Hopefully, as COVID becomes less of a factor and people are more willing to meet in person, that we'll have a group of people located across the country that can set up meetings for these local communities that can help just connect people and help them feel more a part of the IgA community, and also provide answers and questions to people and be contacts for people in those areas for more information about nephrologists or people that specialize in IgA. We're hoping with Dr. Barrett and with a few other people in the UK to establish a UK chapter of the IgA Nephropathy Foundation. So the work, kind of the foundation, has been started there. We're going to be publishing the first IgA Nephropathy cookbook at Spark, which will be a 140-page hardcover book with lots of recipes, including all created by nephrologists and some of our patients, with specific nutritional information for people specifically with IgA nephropathy. It'll be a hardcover book, and it'll be available on Amazon. So anybody who wants to purchase it can purchase it on Amazon. We mentioned earlier on IgA Nephropathy Awareness Day that our primary focus was outreach to nephrologists. And we contacted over 5,000 nephrologists for IgA Nephropathy Day. And part of our goal this year is to continue the outreach to those providers, to make them aware of the foundation, number one, who we are and what we offer to their patients. And number two, to educate them more about what it's like to live with IgA nephropathy so they know what their patients are going through when they get diagnosed. We have an expanded advocacy program in the U.S. to help our federal legislators understand some of the things that are important to IgA patients, including a rare disease bill that we're trying to get passed in the U.S. Congress. And then we've also recently just had a IgAN patient join the leadership team, and she's a specialist in fundraising. So she's going to help us really kind of ramp up our fundraising efforts to help raise more money to help support our research efforts. 100% of the money that we raise at the foundation goes to research. So we're very lucky through the support of our pharmaceutical partners to be able to have funds to be able to run the foundation and not use the research money that we raise to help support the foundation.
I think that's our last slide. We'd love, I don't know if anyone has any questions. We'd love to try to answer some. And
that was great, Stuart and Gisela. Thank you very much. The one thing I did want to say is just for clarification, is you used to be the IgA Nephropathy Foundation of America, didn't you? But we want to make it absolutely clear. It is now the IgA Nephropathy Foundation, and we're working in the UK very closely with you to kind of spread all the great work that you've been doing.
Yes, absolutely, that's the case.
Yeah, and we're very keen. And one of my patients is working with you at the moment, aren't they? To be able to kind of set up the UK side of things to try and get that support network that you've established working here.
Yes, Alistair we've been working with Alistair to sort of kind of show him what we're doing here and to support any questions or efforts that you guys have to start a UK chapter. We're here to help, and whatever we can do to sort of help let you guys know what the foundation does and how we work and how you can set up your own version of what we're doing. We're happy to help you out.
We've got time for one question.
I see.
Sorry.
Yeah. I see somebody asking. Yeah. So, I personally love getting as many stories. Like I would love if anyone is interested in being interviewed and wants to share their story. I'm happy to. It's not very formal, but I think it's important. You believe what you see. So, like globally, I have a couple of patients lined up to be interviewed, but due to COVID, kind of have a little backlog. But I think international presence of IgAN patients would be great. We are going to need people to help build up this UK chapter. So if you're interested, we're creating like the foundations, the toolkit, if you will, Stuart, with the patient ambassador program. So it's not like, hey, go set up a chapter, see you in 3 months. We want this to be successful, and absolutely, like if anyone's interested in getting more involved, if you want to reach out to one of us directly or let Dr. Barrett know, we will definitely. Alistair is going to be our king of the UK when he's not climbing mountains, I believe.
I put Alistair's contact information in the chat, so if you're interested, reach out to Alistair, and he can help engage with you and let you know what he's up to and how we can work together.